Hey there, and welcome to the Live Well Zone. I'm your host, Jermaine, and today I'm doing something a little different by recording an audio only episode. Now, I don't know about you, but I have been craving way more presence, more calm, and far less hustle. And I find that audio is a great way to achieve all of that, so I hope you enjoy this episode. Now, today I'm going to be sharing about an herb that's probably growing in your backyard, and that herb is stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is an incredibly versatile herb that's been used for centuries to support women's health. And when I say stinging nettle is versatile, that's almost an understatement, okay? Because not only is it used for things like heavy periods, inflammation, fatigue, and even allergies, but get this. In a 2022 scientific review, they found that stinging nettle can be especially helpful for women going through menopause. In fact, here is an exact quote from that review. The chemical compounds in stinging nettle have a variety of health benefits for women. Because of its astringent characteristics, it can relieve unpleasant premenstrual symptoms, including cramping and bloating, as well as reduce blood flow during menstruation. Stinging nettle can ease the transition and act as a restorative for women going through menopause, lowering the intensity of the hormonal shift in the body. End of quote. So not bad for what is ultimately a very common backyard weed. So what is it exactly about this very common weed that makes stinging nettle a powerful ally during menopause? Well, that is what we're going to explore in this episode. I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 main benefits of stinging nettle. And I'm also going to talk to you about how you can go about using it for yourself. So let's start with one of the big ones, which is hot flashes. One of the main benefits of stinging nettle is that it may actually help to ease hot flashes. And if you've ever experienced hot flashes, you know how incredibly disruptive they can be. And in a 2019 study, they showed that stinging nettle can be quite helpful. So in that study, 72 women experiencing frequent hot flashes took either nettle or a placebo. And the results showed that the women who took nettle saw a reduction in their hot flashes, and they also reported a better quality of life. Now, what's also interesting is that some of the women in that study had a combination of stinging nettle and acupuncture sessions together. And what they found is that the addition of the acupuncture sessions didn't provide any additional benefits. So basically, stinging nettle all by itself seems to be doing all the heavy lifting when it comes to alleviating hot flashes. Now, moving on from hot flashes, let's talk about something else that a lot of women experience during perimenopause, and that is heavy periods, okay? Now, nettle is an herb that is typically used to alleviate heavy menstrual bleeding no matter what phase of life a woman is in. And one of the reasons why nettle is often used for this is because it contains vitamin K. Vitamin K is a must-have. It is essential for blood clotting. If you happen to be low on vitamin K, which isn't necessarily a very common deficiency, but if you do happen to be low, you may experience heavy bleeding. In addition, stinging nettle is rich in iron, and if you are losing a lot of blood during your period, then the nettle also helps to replenish all of that iron that you are losing. So those are just a couple of reasons why nettle is typically used for heavy periods and why it can also be helpful during this menopause transition. Now, let's talk about benefit number 3, which has to do with improving vaginal atrophy. So as estrogen levels drop during menopause, a lot of women will experience vaginal atrophy. This is basically dryness and thinning of the vaginal tissue. And this change in the vaginal tissue can make things like intercourse or even just simply urinating, it can make those things incredibly uncomfortable and painful. Now, once again, nettle may be helpful in this situation, and there are a few reasons why. So the first reason is that nettle contains phytoestrogens. So phytoestrogens are plant-based compounds that mimic estrogen in the body, and phytoestrogens are often used as one of the natural remedies for vaginal atrophy. Another reason why nettle seems to be helpful for this is because it has the ability to boost collagen production. And it also contains vitamin E. Now, vitamin E is an antioxidant. It has also been studied and been shown to help alleviate some symptoms related to menopause. So for all of those reasons, that is most likely why nettle is helpful for women experiencing atrophy. Now, there was actually a triple-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled study that showed that postmenopausal women who used a nettle-based vaginal cream for 8 weeks actually saw improvements in burning, dryness, itching, and pain during intercourse. So that was just one study, but that is, again, providing some evidence that there actually is a lot of benefit potentially to using nettle for this particular purpose. Now, besides helping with things like heavy periods or hot flashes or atrophy, there's another major benefit to adding nettle into your routine, and that is simply because it's going to help to address the big picture, which is hormone balance. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, there was a 2020 review that highlighted the fact that nettle can be especially beneficial for easing the intensity of hormonal changes during menopause. And that's really important, I think, to emphasize this concept of reducing the intensity, because whatever we can do to make life more comfortable during this time is going to go a very long way. Now, why is it, again, that nettle is potentially helpful for this? It most likely is related to its very diverse and rich nutritional profile. So in case you didn't know, nettle is packed with vitamins like vitamin A, C, and K. It also contains some B vitamins. It also contains some minerals like magnesium, iron, and calcium. It is also loaded with antioxidants, which are definitely very helpful for just supporting our overall health and well-being. And speaking of overall health, nettle doesn't just help when it comes to hormones. It's used for a lot of other things. So for example, it can be helpful when it comes to urinary tract health, for bone health, a lot of it going back to that vitamin K when it comes to bone health, and also for inflammation. So as you can see, overall, nettle really is quite a multitasker. And what I like about this herb is that it is very easy to find, right? It's common. It's nothing too fancy or complicated. You could basically find it anywhere where you can buy herbs. So it really, to me, is one of the best home remedies to just have on hand for lots of different reasons, besides even just helping when it comes to things like supporting your body during this menopause transition. So now you know the benefits. Let's talk about how to actually use nettle. Now, the first thing to know is that you want to focus on using just the nettle leaf. And I specify that because the nettle root, so the root of this plant, also has medicinal benefits and is used a lot. More often, the root is used in cases for men's health, particularly as it relates to supporting the prostate. But for us ladies, as far as just helping us during midlife, you want to just lean into the leaf only, okay? Now, there are 3 different ways that you can get benefits from, or I should say 3 different ways that you can use this leaf. So the first way is to make an overnight tea, also known as an overnight infusion. This is basically a process where you use a significant amount of nettle leaf, dried or fresh, and you steep it in water overnight, and then you strain it in the morning and drink it throughout the day. Now, I have done a video in the past that shows this. I also have an article that explains this, so I will link to the YouTube video that explains how to make that tea, and also link to the article so that whether you prefer to read or watch, you can choose your poison basically and go with what you prefer. So the first option is the tea. Option number 2 is to just take capsules. There's plenty of different brands that sell nettle capsules. And then option number 3 is a tincture. If you're not familiar with a tincture, it is simply a liquid extract of an herb. So typically the herb is extracted in alcohol. So not rubbing alcohol, but like real high proof alcohol. And the reason for that is because alcohol is actually excellent for extracting certain components, especially some of the components that you cannot extract when you make a tea. Alcohol does a great job of extracting those. So traditionally, tinctures are made with alcohol. If you are avoiding alcohol, you can also find tinctures that are made with glycerin as the base instead of alcohol. So, but those are your 3 options: tea, capsules, or tincture. Okay, so that's it. That's the overview. Those are your reasons for why you want to look into bringing nettle into your life during menopause. I really, like I said earlier, I really do think that this is a fantastic herb. I've used this herb for years on and off for lots of different things, and personally it has never disappointed me. So, and I have quite a bit of content on nettle. So if you are familiar with my content, you've heard me talk about this herb before. So definitely something to explore and see if you want to give it a go. Now, I have also included links to some of my favorite brands for where you can get things like nettle, okay? And if you also want more support when it comes to balancing your hormones in your 40s, I invite you to also grab my Hormone Balance Essentials cheat sheet. This cheat sheet teaches you the top 5 hormone balance mistakes that keep a lot of women feeling stuck and overwhelmed. And it also gives you solutions for fixing those mistakes. So I'll put a link to that, and you can use that as a resource to help you get started when it comes to hormone balance. And I hope you found this episode helpful. If you are a regular viewer of my channel or subscribe to my email list and you found this format interesting in any way, I'd love to hear your feedback. If you have questions, I'd also love to hear your feedback. And of course, if you know of anybody else that could benefit from this information, please feel free to share this episode with them. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.